So to continue with the right to a child, in this video we're going to look at some of the moral solutions, or not exactly solution because many of them just create more problems in my opinion, but what are the different sort of ethical theories surrounding a right to a child. So let's start with utilitarianism. Now this basically in essence depends on the situation, because we're going to be looking at the pleasure produced and the pain produced. Whether it's Bentham's or Mill's, we're going to be looking at the types of pleasure and pain produced and which outweighs which. So that is basically it. But some things that people forget to take into account while calculating this is, for example, that it's expensive. So it might be important that a couple spend money elsewhere. Or, this is the problem again with utilitarianism. We saw it's a very demanding theory. It could be that rather than spending money trying to have your own child, it probably works out much more like for the greatest good for the greatest people if you gave that much money to help people in, let's say, India. So these are things that also weaknesses of utilitarianism just shine out. Also, we look at the long-term and short-term consequences, and this is one that I didn't actually think about, and I read this one. That is the right to a child, i.e. having IVF, AIH or AID, a quick fix solution to infertility. It is that. And so shouldn't we be spending money actually researching into why people become infertile in the first place? I mean, I know there's been research that fast food or whatever is making us more infertile, but shouldn't we be researching how to prevent the infertility in the first place, rather than just getting a short-term solution? I don't know. That I find quite interesting. And basically, you have to take into account the happiness a couple would get by having the child compared to, for example, the pain of an unsuccessful IVF, the money spent. But generally, utilitarianism, it depends on the context, and they have no problem with spare embryos or having a third person in the marital relationship, because it's just depending on what is going to be the greatest happiness for the couple and the wider community. And if that does create problems for the wider community, then obviously it won't be something that utilitarianism would be happy to conduct. Natural law, on the other hand, is more fixed. It's a big no-no. Firstly, Aquinas said that God designed man for a particular reason and woman for a particular reason. That is why they have two different bodies. That's what he said. And he said that sex is there for procreation. And so he said that a man's penis should not be put anywhere else except for a woman's vagina. And if it is put anywhere else, it's unmoral because it's going against God's wishes. And he says that for this reason, masturbation and homosexuality, all these things would be wrong. But the thing is, if masturbation is wrong, that means that something like AIH, where the husband has to masturbate in order to get the sperm cells in the first place, would be wrong. So for Aquinas, that's one of the reasons why it's a big no-no. And another reason is that in the 5 primary precepts, there is definitely one of them which is to reproduce. But there is another one, life, to live, the supreme good. And we need to protect life. So we cannot kill. And this is actually like a Catholic, isn't it? A Catholic ethical teaching, natural law. So life begins at conception for them. So if we are throwing spare embryos, then we are killing lives. And in order to reproduce, we cannot kill. This would be wrong according to Aquinas. And third reason is that Aquinas believed in the sanctity of marriage. Love and marriage and procreation all have a very special place. So for, there to be a kind of third party in the marriage is just bizarre to Aquinas. And then also, if we go back to his primary precepts, one of them is to have an ordered society. But he says, he doesn't say that this is what we imply, because at that time there was no IVF or anything. So how can there be an ordered society if people are going around with 2 fathers and 1 mother, or 2 mothers and 1 father, or just, it's changing the dynamics of society. And Aquinas was not happy because it's supposed to be ordered and, just a good society, a regulated one. Kant, again, we don't know exactly what he says, we have to imply. So his theory was the one which said that there's no room for emotion, compassion, nothing. So the agony of not having a child, he doesn't care, it's all about duty for him. It could be universalized to have these kind of laws that everybody does have a right to a child and all that. But as with genetic engineering, it depends on the moral agent of the moral status of the embryo, because from do not commit suicide, and we clearly know that one of the things that would be wrong in Kant's ethical theory is do not kill. If the embryo is a moral agent, then spare embryos could be seen as killing, and that could be wrong. So it depends on how you interpret Kant. You could be using the third party as a means. You're not supposed to use somebody as a means to an end, rather you're supposed to use them as an end in themselves. So by using them in order to have a child, you know, he says this is wrong. Some neo-Kantians say, so if you pay to, you know, get the sperm or egg or whatever, it's probably seen as better. But again, it just depends really on the situation, and depending on how you interpret Kant is what result you'll get. So there's no like strict yes or no, as with a natural law, it's a no. Situation ethics would be a clear yes, because if a couple are in pain and they really want a child and it's really dragging them down, then the most loving thing to do and is to let them do this process and have a child is acceptable. However, you have to look at the pragmatics a bit, and you know, because you're looking at the best interest for the couple and you know the most loving thing in hand for them, you got to look that there's a small chance, it's probably improved now, but there is a small chance of having a successful IVF treatment, and it's expensive. So you got to think to them, is this really the most loving thing to do? Let them spend all this money when there might not even be a great chance that they will be able to have a child. So situation ethics definitely is a yes, but the context is coming up again and again. You know, it might be, and the third person in a relationship for situation ethics is not a problem, because it's whatever they are happy with, and the outcome is that between everyone there's love. If a third person in a relationship is going to cause hatred and fights and everything, then they're going to say no. But if there is going to be, you know, love created and a good, wider and more loving society, then go for it, would be Fletcher's answer. Christian ethics, well, let's just look at the Bible. So 4,000 years ago, Abraham, he was the guy who founded, but all three, Islam, Judaism and Christianity, he was promised some descendants by God, but he didn't really know how this was going to happen. Especially because his wife was elderly, so in order to have children they used a surrogate. So the example of somebody who's so important in Christianity, like Abraham using a surrogate, might be, you know, a clue that God would accept surrogacy. Also, God said go forth and multiply in Genesis, so many Christians argue that it is acceptable because that is what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to reproduce whatever way, and then if we are made in the image of God, we should be allowed to create life too, just like God. However, I don't know, this is kind of conflicting with the sanctity of life argument. Are we actually supposed to be playing God? And then the destruction of spare embryos, particularly in Catholicism, would be, you know, not good, a big no-no again. So Bible also teaches the marriages and you know, it's the couple being one flesh and, you know, together for blah blah blah. There's no involvement of third party. So there are a lot of clashes in the Bible. You just need to take the message that suits you and just use it. And this is why there's no sort of consensus altogether on whether we have a right to a child or not. So I hope this video helped, and please visit my blog.